This is part two of refined sugar addiction story. And if you didn't watch part one, probably didn't miss much anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it's based on this little story here. And there's a related TV programme coming out with the actor Brian Cox, who's a well-known actor from Scotland, world star, and it's this. I saw it and I thought I was annoyed because I saw this trailer and it was like Brian Cox talking to people about obviously sugar in the diet and how sugar is addictive, and which is fine. But then speaking to doctors about the trouble of sugar making people go blind and sugar making relate to diabetes and all that stuff. And this is relating sugar to heart disease. So I had a little. I was going to write in a letter, not a letter, but like a strongly worded comment to the Metro saying, this is a load of rubbish. Heart disease isn't connected to sugar; it's connected to saturated fat, particularly from the animal and the dairy and meat diet that most people have. And yeah, I sort of can be bothered doing that, but maybe I should. But um, I sort of lost my train of thought. Give me, give me a moment. Uh, yeah. So 2 seconds. Let me just think what I was going to say there. Just wait with me. My brain will come back. Yeah. So what I did instead of writing in a comment, I thought, well, I'll have a wee look and see if there is stuff suggesting meat and grapes that sugars, refined sugars, related to heart disease, so cardiovascular disease, whatever you want to call it, atherosclerosis, and there is connections to it in some studies, and it seems some studies there isn't. But I've not done a comprehensive review of the studies. I just looked up a few things on the internet in my break at work, and and there is studies saying that there's no connection. But for a start, you've got to think about what refined sugar is added to, and there's a lot of cakes, biscuits, and things that have a lot of fat in them and all that stuff. So it's not always going to be the sugar. It's already been shown that things like diabetes can be cured with a low-fat vegan diet when you're taking the fat content of the diet really low, like less than 10% of calories. Basically, a whole foods, any kind of whole foods diet without refined oils and without meat and dairy is gonna get you down there. And it's been shown that that can pretty much take your symptoms from diabetes away to the extent that it's basically gone. Now, that's Neil Barnard, Dr. Neil Barnard's work, and obviously that's something to consider if you know someone with diabetes too or whatever. Uh, but this stuff is still it's still connecting sugar. Now, I don't think sugar is a good thing, and refined sugar is particularly a good thing, and I avoid it because I used to be like this guy McSherry, like totally addicted to sugar, and I like when I was a teenager, I never really got into drugs or alcohol, but I was really addicted to sweets, and that was my sort of vice, was that I ate loads of sweets and I'd carry them around in my pockets all the time. Because when you're like a sugar junkie like that, you always need to make sure you've got your sort of supply of sweets with you. And I've got my dad's cousin's the same. He comes and stays at our house, and he's like a fully grown man, fully grown man. He's a proper like adult, and he's always like a responsible member of society, a church-going man and everything, and he's like totally addicted to sweets and sugar and cakes. It's really great. I used to love him coming to the house because like he'd bring in all his cakes and sweets and stuff, and like pretend it was like this is like a treat for everyone, and it wasn't. It was just his own addiction. Now he's not an overweight guy, and this is the thing with this Andrew McSherry as well. He's not overweight. Like I mean, he's a little overweight, but for a guy with like he's doing all right. I mean, if you look at that amount of Iron Brew he's drinking, that's 150 grams of pure refined sugar every day or something. No, 150 teaspoons. Jeez, no. 150. So that's like one, two, three, 150 times. How many minutes is that of just doing that? And that's what he was putting in his body. And his body was just going, oh, sugar, burn it straight away, burned. Crazy. But yeah, so he was eating all that sugar, and he should be obese, you know. Check. He should be like, let's try and find Mick Jagger. Everyone in this paper's thin. Mo Farah, Mick Jagger. Like I'm trying to find a bigger, as a baby, but you can't put a baby up. Yoda, Larry Hagman, he was thin as well. He died recently. Ryland, all these people are thin. Jesus. Tom Cruise. Right, so there's not one overweight person in this newspaper, so I was going to like show a picture of Meatloaf or something, or I don't know. Or like a darts player. It's probably a darts player if I go to the back. Let's see. Football players, none of them are fat. There's literally no fat people in this paper. So yeah, he should be massively overweight. If that's related to obesity, then this guy who was eating all that amount of sugar should be so overweight. But in reality, what was happening is he was eating so much calories from sugar. He was probably like under eating on all the basic like food stuff. Like no wonder like he's having health problems. Like he's got such a high empty calorie diet. Like his diet's like 60% empty calories. He probably eats like really small meals, you know, or really small amounts of other things. But he would have probably had like some bacon, eggs for breakfast and things like that. Because in reality, like his heart disease will be connected to his high fat diet, his high saturated fat diet from eating fried foods and particularly animal foods, meat and dairy, maybe even refined oils and things, but then meat and dairy and then all that fried at the same time, so fried eggs, fried bacon, and like the Scottish diet, which I was saying in my first video that got deleted, about the Scottish diet is like a sort of random weird experiment in what can in the use of a deep fat fryer. It's like it's like what else can we put in a deep fat fryer? How can we how can we create the most unhealthy meal? Like can we create something that's so fat, high in refined sugar and fat at the same time that it's like the absolute worst combination and so low in any kind of nutrients? So we came up with like a deep fried Mars bar, which is like a crazy. I never had one actually in all my times, but which is sort of a shame because I can't really speak about it. But because it's fried in the oil that they fry fish in, it picks up the taste of the fish, so it's like fishy chocolate. That's what I've heard people say. Fishy chocolate batter, probably a bit of salt even on it, just to wind up the flavour. But anyway, all that fat food, it's always associated with Irn-Bru because it's always like you go to the traditional thing, you go to the chippy, you get fish and chips or chicken supper or haggis supper or sausage supper and chips and a bottle of Irn-Bru to go with it. And like this is telling people that is the Irn-Bru, so give up the Irn-Bru and continue with the fish suppers. It's crazy. Irn-Bru's got probably zero saturated fat, zero cholesterol, you know, it's got zero like nutrients and vitamins and everything else, but it's probably not his biggest causative factor towards his heart attack. So just wanted to say that, and but even in saying that, even on an incredibly low fat diet, I need to fit this in really quickly, but even on an incredibly low fat diet, I think refined sugar is an issue in fairly high quantities, not necessarily for your heart or anything like that, but more in your mind, in your brain, your sort of brain chemistry. And I've always found if I have a lot of refined sugar, which I really have very little of ever, I often get really depressed the next day. I don't know why that is, it's just something that always happens to me, and that's why I gave it up years ago, and I can speak about that more later on. But that's all I'll say at the moment, so thanks for watching, and don't like or share or subscribe, just go away, bye.